In the beginning of the movie, a radio host talks about how anti-Semitism is on the rise and that people are so involved in making other people's lives miserable. One night in 1983, Bruce Pierce and Gary Yarbrough kill Walter West in the woods. These two fugly-ass incest breeders better watch out. Veteran FBI agent Terry Husk arrives in Who Gives a Fuck, Idaho, and reopens an abandoned office there, hoping to slow down after working on the investigations of the Ku Klux Klan and La Cosa Nostra. He then studies the file of the Aryan Nations and its founder, Reverend Richard Butler, who also founded the Church of Jesus Christ. In Spokane, Washington, on December 18, 1983, Gary, Bruce, Bob Matthews, and David Lane park outside the Washington Mutual Bank, waiting for the bomb they planted to go off. When it doesn't because of their inbred brain, Gary apologizes to Bob, who then decides to continue with the plan and go rob the bank with Bruce and Gary. As they take bundles of money, one employee hits the fire alarm. David, who's waiting in the car, then takes care of the useless ass cop who responds to the scene. After the heist, Bob visits his pregnant mistress, Zilla, and gives her bags of cash from the heist, which delights the inbred-looking girl. Terry visits the Kootenai County Sheriff's Department and asks Sheriff Laughlin about the white power pamphlets he has seen around town, the Aryan Nations, and the location of Butler's compound. Deputy Jamie Bowen interrupts and says it's in Hayden Lake, Idaho, a 15 to 20-minute drive away. Laughlin tells Terry that although Butler's church is a nuisance, they mostly keep to their white-ass selves. Jamie later tells Terry that aside from pamphlets, the Aryan Nations are also printing counterfeit bills. He shows him a counterfeit bill he got from his high school friend and Aryan Nations member, Walter West, whose photo he also shows Terry. Walter West was the one who died in the beginning of the movie. Jamie shares that a few weeks ago, he ran into Walter at a bar where he showed him the counterfeit bill and said, "That's just the beginning." He shows Terry newspaper articles about a synagogue bombing in Boise in June, adult stores robbery in Spokane in October, and mentions a bank robbery. Although Walter did not directly say the Aryan Nations is involved, Walter said that they've gotten into explosives and that they're finna start a war. Jamie adds that Walter has been missing for 2 weeks, and his wife, Bonnie Sue, had called to file a missing report, but she never came in. When Terry says that hate groups don't usually rob banks, Jamie suggests that maybe they do now. In their group's hideout, Bob orders the group not to burn crosses to avoid attracting attention, because their fugly faces already do that. He orders Gary to give each member some dough and save the rest as tithe for their cause. He then employs Sam Stinson to train the militia he's building for $1,000 a month, as he's both experienced and has access to whatever weapon he needs. Bob goes home to his wife Debbie and gives her bags of cash from the heist, saying it's for their future, but doesn't say where he got it. She rightfully gets afraid of the money's origins. He then reads the Turner Diaries as a bedtime story for their young son, Clinton. That book racist AF. Terry meets with fellow FBI agent Joanne Carney, who tells him that the 3 armed men and the driver from the Spokane robbery are all raisin potato salad lovers. There were no security cameras. They dumped their car at a dentist's office nearby without any prints and bought a car off the classifieds for $500. She says they clearly planned the robbery, where they took nearly $45,000. When asked about explosives, she tells him that they found a bomb that never went off because of a miswired triggering device at an adult shop a couple of days after the bank robbery. Jamie takes Terry to see Bonnie Sue, who is also Jamie's high school friend. Upon seeing them, Bonnie immediately tearfully asks if Walter is dead. When Terry asks her why she changed her mind about the missing person report, Bonnie says Walter is a drunk and it's not the first time he ran off. She adds that the last time she saw Walter was 3 weeks ago, when he went with some guys. Terry presses her to name names, asking her who she's hiding and protecting, prompting Bonnie to walk out crying. Jamie runs after her and comforts her until she shares that Walter went hunting with Gary and Bruce, whom Jamie knows. Bonnie says she told Walter that she doesn't think it's safe for him to go with them, but he didn't listen. She adds that Walter had shared that Bruce's group, which isn't the Aryan Nations, is trying to recruit people. Upon surveying the woods the 3 men went hunting in, Terry finds the Turner Diaries book. Noticing a disturbed area, he unearths a body, which Jamie positively identifies as Walter. Terry then informs Laughlin that the FBI will take charge. Terry asks Jamie to take him to Hayden Lake, where they ask Butler about Gary and Bruce. Butler says the Church of Jesus Christ Christian doesn't advocate any of their members to break any laws for their cause. Butler and his right-hand man, Tony Bentley, deny knowledge of their whereabouts and inform Terry and Jamie that Gary and Bruce were kicked out of their congregation because they were using their press to print counterfeit currency. When asked why they are looking for the pair, Terry shows Butler a photo of Walter's corpse and warns him about the strays of their church forming their own groups, which are getting powerful, insinuating that the pair is behind Walter's death. Terry tells him to control their strays, to which Butler reiterates that he is unaware of their whereabouts, but will inform him when he hears something. Upon leaving, Terry asks about the Turner Diaries book, which is displayed on a console, to which Butler says it's fiction for children. "Girl, I be reading the Berenstain Bears to my kids. What in the racist indoctrination book is that?" Bob's group welcomes Tony Torres, and they brief him on the process of making counterfeit money and give him a necklace after the ceremony. "Okay, but Tony kinda foine. Can we just make him not racist in the movie?" Butler meets with Bob and asks him to stop their activities because they're not thieves, and warns him that they're drawing too much attention from the FBI, who found Walter's body. Butler reminds him that they seek the same goals, and that in 10 years they'll have members in public office, which will make way for change as progress takes time. Are those people in the public office as we speak? Bob insists on taking action now. When Butler firmly orders him to stop his activities, Bob shows him that Bruce is on standby, ready to shoot. Bob's hair is giving, berries and cream guy. Butler later orders Bentley to find out Bob's group's next move so they can stop them. Soon, Bentley gives Jamie a copy of the Turner Diaries with Gary's name and address inside. In Seattle, Washington, on April 23, 1984, Terry, Joanne, Jamie, and 3 other FBI agents raid the address they were given, and they find explosive parts in one room. Meanwhile, Gary bombs an adult theater as a distraction for their group's planned armored van robbery at Sears. When the police dispatch calls for all bomb squad units to respond to the theater, Terry says they're not there as he recognizes it as a distraction tactic. Terry and Jamie find Bob's group robbing the armored van. He orders Jamie to cover him and shoots at the group's car, but Jamie freezes. Terry fails to stop the group's car from fleeing and sees a masked Bob, who locks eyes with him, drive past him in their other car, and stop a masked member from shooting him. Terry then lashes out at Jamie for not covering him. Joanne later reprimands Terry for moving on his own, resulting in the suspects getting away and having time to clean up their tracks. She then orders him to return to Idaho. While hunting an elk at a lake, Terry finds Bob behind him, seemingly aiming for the elk too. Not recognizing Bob, Terry and Bob talk as if they were friends. Later, Butler talks about how the real Israelites are white people, not Jews, and they have a birthright. Oh, so like the current Israelis? Bob attends the National Alliance Convention and interrupts Butler's speech. He tells the congregation that he has had enough of just talk, and he urges them to join him and stand up for themselves, resulting in the congregation chanting, "White Power." While attending a party at Jamie's house, Jamie's wife, Kimmy, talks to Terry. She says she has a home passed down many generations, and it's a loving home. Jamie is a good husband to Kimmy and a caring father to his son, Willie. Terry sees the Turner Diaries book and sees Jamie's notes in it. Jamie, who has been studying the book, tells him that he suspects the activities are not just about money and are building up to something big because they're very organized. He says there are 6 steps in the book: recruiting, fundraising, armed revolution, domestic terror, assassination, and day of the rope, which is the day the white race traitors are strung up in the streets. While listening to Alan Berg, a Jewish talk radio show host of Koa Studios, Denver, who's sparring on air with an anti-Semite who is calling into his show as he usually does, Bob says step 5, and Bruce volunteers to assassinate Alan. On June 18, 1984, Alan drives home from work. When he exits his car, Bruce repeatedly shoots him, resulting in his death. The next day, Joanne informs Terry of Alan's death. Terry and Jamie tell the FBI about their theory that the people behind Alan's death and the series of robberies and bombings are former Aryan Nations members who are using the Turner Diaries book, a fictional book about a group of white separatists raging a race war against the United States government, as a guide. Since they're following the steps in the book, they assume that the group is also adopting the group name in the book, The Order. Laughlin admits seeing the book 2 years ago when he pulled over David and gives Terry his file. Meanwhile, Torres buys guns for the Order. Terry and Joanne visit David's parents, who say that the last they've heard is that David was in Medellin Falls, Washington, with a man named Bob, who has given him work. When they give Terry a photo of David and Bob, he realizes it's the guy he met. The FBI looks into Bob and raids the Order's hideout in Medellin Falls, Bragg Creek Road. The group is able to apprehend Debbie and Joanne Finna throw hands, calling her a dumb Yahtzee beach. In Ukiah, California, on July 19, 1984, the Order robs another armored van and takes $3.6 million. The group throws down a homemade spike strip to prevent any cars from interrupting them. During their robbery, a civilian tries to shoot at them, but he ends up dying. As they drive away, Bob realizes that his gun fell. Cops arrive, but they get a flat from the spike strip. Later, the FBI traces the gun's serial number to a store in Missoula and to Torres. Terry gets Torres to talk and lead them to a Capri motel room where Bob is waiting for Torres, who firmly denies ratting them out. Terry orders Jamie to inform Joanne that they have a visual on Bob and attempts to arrest Bob, which leads to a shootout. The FBI arrives and Jamie, who covers Terry, apprehends Gary. Joanne is able to help arrest the fugly white bitch. Jamie spots Bob, who is trying to get away, but Bob gets a shot on him. Terry chases after Bob, but has to attend to Jamie before he bleeds out. Jamie unfortunately succumbs to his injuries fairly quick. Terry and Joanne arrive at Jamie's house with Willie playing with his toys. Knowing what's to come, Kimmy tells her son to go inside as she hears the bad news about her husband. Later, Terry and Joanne interview Debbie, who tells them about the safe house on Whidbey Island. Debbie says there's no way her husband is going to surrender alive. Bob, Bruce, and David retreat to the safe house, and Bob orders Bruce to send out the declaration of war to the government and media. On December 7, 1984, David sees the FBI outside of the house and attempts to leave with Bruce, but they're both apprehended. The FBI attempts to forcibly take Bob out of the house alive, but Bob shoots at them from upstairs. They tear gas his ass and he has a coughing fit. They decide to burn the house down in order to force Bob to come outside and surrender. When burning the house fails in forcing Bob to surrender, Terry enters and attempts to persuade him. Terry is forced to leave when Bob still refuses to surrender, resulting in him burning to death on December 8th. Almost 2 years later, other surviving members of the Order are imprisoned. Bruce and David are sentenced to a total of 300 years for their participation in Alan's murder, while Gary receives a total of 85 years for assault, weapons, and racketeering charges. For over 40 years, the Turner Diaries has been used as a blueprint for domestic terrorism, influencing events from the Oklahoma City bombing to the insurrection at the U.S. Capitol on January 6, 2021. And now, look where we're at. What did you guys think of this movie? A bit chilling and scary to think there are people like Bob and his followers among us. And this was all based on actual events that happened in the past during the 80s.
Subscribe for more videos like this. Turn on notifications and leave a like. It really helps the channel.